What's good? Epstein files. Let's get to it. Alright, first document. So the search is on control. That is the keyword. Company search is no statement of good standing. Hyperlink. Name the corporation trust company. Orange Street, Wilmington County. I believe this where in Florida. So I found this interesting. Read a little bit into it. September 6th, 2007. Whitewater man on sex case. Body. Billionaire money manager Jeffrey Epstein has brought in a hired gun to help defend charges brought against him in Palm Beach, Florida, of soliciting prostitutes for sex. Epstein, who has already repped by top defense lawyers Gerald Lefcourt and Roy Black and appeals expert Alan Dershowitz, has hired former Whitewater Special Prosecutor Ken Starr to make the misdemeanor case go away. Asked about Starr's hiring, Epstein's spokesman Howard Rubenstein had no comment. Last year, Starr, who was president of Pepperdine University, argued before the U.S. Supreme Court that an Alaska school had the right to suspend a student for unfurling a Bong Hits for Jesus banner. Starr is also repping Blackwater, and the private security firm being sued by the families of 4 contractors killed in Fallujah, Iraq. In 2004, Epstein is worried he could be targeted by federal prosecutors, and Starr is still very well connected with Republicans, said one source. This is interesting too. Granted, it's September 6, 2007. So this dude was active for a long time, Headline: Delays in Epstein case, unusual lawyers say, by Larry Keller, Palm Beach Post staff writer. Body: nearly 8 months after Palm Beach tycoon Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, this is a 111-page document. Jeffrey Epstein was charged with felony soliciting of prostitution. There has been no discernible progress in his case. No witnesses deposed. No trial date set. Nothing saved for routine court hearings reset without explanation. Usually, that would be unusual, said criminal defense attorney Glenn Mitchell, who has no involvement in the case. As a general rule, it would be unusual for nothing to have happened, agreed Mitchell Dutko, criminal defense attorney in Fort Lauderdale. He represents blank 20 of Royal Palm Beach, potentially a key witness in the case. A routine hearing for Epstein was pulled from the court docket last week and reset for May 16th. The delays and inaction could be due to a potential federal probe of Epstein or because a plea deal is in the works, attorneys say. Unusual is a word that best describes everything about the case against Epstein, 54, an enigmatic money manager in New York City who counts Bill Clinton and Donald Trump among his friends. Highly unusual is how Palm Beach Police Chief Michael Ryder described State Attorney Barry Krischer's handling of the case in a bluntly critical letter to Krischer last year before Epstein was indicted. Ryder referred the matter to the FBI to determine whether any federal laws had been violated. Epstein's allies countered by attacking the chief personally and professionally. See, this is crazy too, because dude was on trial for prostitution. Of course we know now, but he had friends in high places, so. Ryder's department investigated Epstein for 11 months. Police sifted repeatedly through his trash and conducted surveillance on his 5-bedroom, 7.5-bath, 7,234 square foot home on the Intracoastal Waterway. That's bizarre, too. Police said Epstein paid women and girls as young as 14 to give him erotic massages at his home. Dang. Police thought there was a probable cause to charge him with unlawful sex acts with a minor and lewd and lascivious molestation. Epstein responded by hiring a phalanx of lawyers, one of them Harvard Law professor and author Alan Dershowitz, provided the state attorney's office with information about alcohol and marijuana use by some of the girls who said they were with Epstein. Prosecutors then referred the case to the grand jury rather than file charges directly against Epstein. Epstein's attorneys deny he had sex with underage girls. The lawyers say the girls' stories are not credible, but if the court file is any indicator, they've made no effort to depose the girls. Interesting. Neither prosecutors nor defense attorneys have sought to question. Redacted, said Dutko, her attorney. She recruited teenage girls to visit Epstein for massages and sexual activity, Palm Beach police said, and presumably would be a key witness. Epstein's attorney, Jack Goldberger, did not return phone messages. A source close to the case suggested it is languishing pending a decision by the FBI on whether to refer it to federal prosecutors. We still have a pending case, FBI spokeswoman Judy Orihuela said Monday. State Attorney Krischer did not return a call for comment. His spokesman, Mike Edmondson, declined to say whether federal investigators are delaying the Epstein case, but he had, if another agency is looking at something, we wouldn't want to step on their toes. Attorneys say inertia in a criminal case often points to a pending plea deal. It would not surprise me if something has happened that's not reflected in the court files, said Dutko, such as an agreement that will be formalized later. Defense attorney Mark Scheiner said defense attorneys sometimes put off overtly conducting discovery, deposing witnesses, requesting documents, and the like, because doing so creates more work for harried prosecutors who may become angry and not offer a plea deal. Some defense lawyers, knowing that, will try and do discovery without taking depositions, said Scheiner, a former prosecutor for 13 years. Instead, they may conduct a below-the-radar probe, such as having a private investigator check out leads, he said. Scheiner and others say a plea deal for Epstein probably would result in pretrial intervention in which a defendant may be ordered to undergo a psychological evaluation, counseling, or other conditions in return for dropping the charge. Edmondson, spokesman for State Attorney Krischer, said there is no plea offer and no request for the prosecution to show its cards. To my knowledge, it's never happened before on a filed case, he said. Jeffrey Epstein, money manager in New York, has powerful allies. That's fascinating. One thing I do need to check is my audios appear to be fine. Yeah, I'll just leave it. Okay, back to it. For guidance on matches on other OFAC related issues, please send screen print. Okay. Let's go through this until we find something of note. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to just use this scroll. Bunch of HTML is alleged. I don't think I'm gonna find anything else with text. What are these? HTMLs. Okay, that's fine. I am gonna need to bring this here. Get a little file. Let's see, new folder. Need to put it in keywords. New folder. Control. Open. Okay. Second document. Same thing. No. Harvard to keep Epstein gift. 2006. Carol Beggy and Mark Shanahan. Harvard has decided it'll hold on to the fat check it received from Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire financier who has charged over the summer with soliciting sex from prostitutes, while some others, notably New York gubernatorial candidate Elliot Spitzer and New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, have returned his gifts. The world's greatest university has concluded that returning Epstein's $6.5 million donation would do more harm than good. Mr. Epstein's gift is funding important research using mathematics to study areas such as evolutionary theory, viruses, and cancers. A Harvard spokesman told us yesterday Harvard has no plans to return the gift. Epstein has pledged up to $30 million to support the research being done by Harvard mathematical biologist Martin Nowak. Epstein was charged with solicitation in July after several teenage girls told the Palm Beach police they'd given the silver-haired money manager messages in exchange for cash. Massages. Sorry. Epstein, who's being defended by Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, has pled not guilty. In 1979, Harvard Press Derek Bach explained his rationale for accepting controversial gifts. I would be inclined to accept such donations on the ground that the tangible benefits of using the money should overcome the more abstract symbolic considerations that might lead us to turn down such benefactions. Kyra's game for role opposite Rock. It'll be Kyra Sedgwick, not BB Newworth, playing opposite Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson when Disney finally begins shooting the game plan later this month. The Rock plays a fictitious NFL quarterback in the big-budget football flick, and Sedgwick is his hard-nosed agent. The movie was supposed to shoot in Boston over the summer, but had to be postponed when The Rock ruptured his Achilles tendon preparing for the role. Newworth, who is returning into Broadway in the musical Chicago, dropped out because of scheduling conflicts, according to published reports. Previously announced cast members including Madison Pettis, Rosalind Sanchez, Morris Chestnut, Gordon Clapp, and Boston funny man Lenny Clark all are still expected to appear in the film, which is being directed by Andy Fickman. Judging from Q&A in the new issue of Entertainment Weekly, it would appear The Rock can't wait to return to the area. Asked what he'd eaten to put on 30 pounds, the one-time pro wrestler responds, large cheese pizza and donuts. The pizza needs to be from Avellino's near Boston. In other movie news, Acton's own Steve Carell will provide the voice for the mayor of Whoville in the animated version of Dr. Seuss' Horton Hears a Who, starring Jim Carrey as Horton. Local author, Mrs. Shortlist. Okay. The shortlist for Britain's prestigious Man Booker Prize for Fiction has been announced, and Somerville's... I'm kind of done with this. What is this one? Palm Beach, Florida. Questions for preferential treatment are raised in Florida's sex case. body. In the summer of autumn of last year, when most of the mansions here stood empty behind their towering hedges, the police stealthily watched one of the end of a waterside lane. They monitored the comings and goings of its owner's private jet, subpoenaed his phone records, and riffled through his trash. The owner was Jeffrey Epstein, 53, an intensely private New York money manager with several billionaire clients. Months earlier, the stepmother of a 14-year-old girl told the Palm Beach police that a wealthy older man, whom the girl later identified as Mr. Epstein, might have had inappropriate sexual contact with her. In sworn statements to the police, the 14-year-old and other teenage girls said a friend had arranged for them to visit Mr. Epstein's home and give him massages, usually in their underwear, in exchange for cash. Most of the girls, according to the police, said Mr. Epstein had masturbated during the massages, and a few said he had penetrated them with his fingers or penis. They identified him in photos and accurately described the insides of his home. Some recalled that his employees had fed them snacks or rented them cars. Mr. Epstein pleaded not guilty in August to the crime. He was ultimately charged with soliciting prostitution. But at a time when prosecutors around the nation have become increasingly severe in dealing with people accused of sex offenses, the case has raised questions about whether Mr. Epstein's prominence won him preferential treatment. Recall that this is 2006-2007 as well. By the account of the police, they found probable cause to charge Mr. Epstein with much more serious offenses. One count of lewd and lascivious molestation, and 4 counts of unlawful sexual activity with a minor. See, what? You know what I mean? Like, that should be locked up for life. But instead of proceeding with such charges on its own, the Palm Beach County State Attorney took the rare step of presenting a broad range of possible charges to a grand jury, which indicted Mr. Epstein in July on the lesser count. In Florida, prosecutors usually refer only capital cases to grand juries. Even before the indictment, the Palm Beach Police Chief, Michael Ryder, had accused prosecutors of giving Mr. Epstein special treatment and asked the state attorney, Barry E. Krischer, to remove himself from the case. In an editorial, the Palm Beach Post attacked Mr. Krischer, a Democrat whose post is elective, saying the public had been left to wonder whether the system tilted in favor of a wealthy, well-connected alleged perpetrator and against very young girls who are alleged victims of sex crimes. The case has taken a toll on the reputation of Mr. Epstein, who owns a palatial home in Manhattan, has pledged $30 million to Harvard, and once flew former President Bill Clinton on 727. Politicians including Eliot Spitzer, a Democratic candidate, the governor in New York, and Gov. Bill Richardson of New Mexico, also a Democrat, have returned campaign contributions from him. But Mr. Epstein fought back, assembling a team of star lawyers, including Gerald B. Lefcourt and Alan M. Dershowitz, a friend of his, to look into the backgrounds of his young accusers. I've also found evidence that, Alan Dershowitz is connected to Israel, Israeli intelligence, rather. But Mr. Epstein fought back. Okay, Mr. Lefcourt says that the police acted outrageously and that his client has been wrongfully dragged through the mud. He disputes that he ever had sex with any underage person or anything like that, said Mr. Lefcourt, whose clients have included Russell Crowe, Martha Stewart, and Abby Hoffman. Neither the police nor the state attorney's office would discuss the case in detail, but the police released a thick report on the 13th month investigation after the indictment was unsealed in late July. The police started investigating Mr. Epstein in March 2005, almost immediately after they were contacted by the stepmother of the 14-year-old girl, who, according to the report, was in special school for students with disciplinary problems. The girl, the report said, told the police that an older friend had offered her an opportunity to make money and had driven her to Mr. Epstein's house one Sunday. The friend, identified by the police as redacted, a local community college student, told the girl to say she was 18 if Mr. Epstein asked, the report said. Okay. There's a big difference between 18 and 14. The girl told the police that Mr. Epstein's assistant had led her upstairs to a room with a massage table and that Mr. Epstein had come in and told her to remove her clothes. She said Mr. Epstein had masturbated as she massaged him, had pressed a vibrator against her underwear, and had given her $300 afterwards. It's pretty inexpensive for all that. In October, the police interviewed Miss the 19, who told them Mr. Epstein had routinely paid her to bring teenage girls to his home. The police then interviewed a total of 5 alleged victims and 17 witnesses, many of whom told similar stories about what they had observed or participated in at Mr. Epstein's home. According to the report, at least one said Mr. Epstein had engaged in intercourse with her. Mr. Lefcourt, his lawyer, said one girl who told the police of having had sex with Mr. Epstein as a minor had lied about both the sex and her age and had not shown up for the grand jury questioning. He also said Mr. Epstein had passed a lie detector test, clearing him of any sexual involvement with underage girls. Lie detector tests don't actually detect if you're lying. They detect more so nervousness, which, if you're lying and are afraid, you start to sweat a little more. Probably breathing becomes a little faster, all this sort of stuff, so they can be bypassed. A spokesman for the Palm Beach police said that early this year, the police went to Mr. Krischer, the state attorney, intending to apply for warrants to arrest Mr. Epstein. Instead, she said they were told that Mr. Krischer would convene a grand jury to examine the evidence and decide what charges, if any, to bring. Around that time, the police report said Mr. Dershowitz met with prosecutors to share information about the accusers, including statements they had posted on MySpace.com, the social networking site, concerning use of drugs and alcohol. According to the report, Mr. Krischer's office then decided to delay the grand jury session for several months. The Palm Beach police grew frustrated, the report said, and on May 1st, the department asked prosecutors to approve warrants to arrest Mr. Epstein. Chief Reader also wrote, Mr. Krischer questioning the unusual course that your office's handling of this matter has taken, and suggesting that Mr. Krischer disqualify himself. Chief Ryder refused several requests to be interviewed, and his spokeswoman could not say explicitly why he had urged the prosecutors to step aside. Mike Edmondson, a spokesman for Mr. Krischer, said the state attorney's office sometimes sent non-capital cases to grand juries when there were questions about witnesses' credibility. Mr. Krischer does not recommend a particular charge in such cases, Mr. Edmondson said, but gives the grand jury a list of possible charges. Bruce J. Winnick, a law professor at the University of Miami, said that while prosecutors in Florida rarely referred non-capital cases to grand juries, they sometimes did so with sensitive cases to be extra cautious. Mr. Lefcourt said that police were wrong to have released the report so soon, especially without correcting information that later proved wrong. He cited his assertion that one accuser had lied about her age, adding that she had also been arrested on drug charges and had been fired by her employer for stealing. I don't see how that discredits her statement that she was hired to massage someone for money, I feel like that kind of credits it because she doesn't have a job and she would want money, and it's kind of easy money, I guess. Not mentally, in a way, but takes its toll. It's sort of traumatic. What I'm trying to focus on, Mr. Lefcourt said, is what's motivating the selective and misleading release of information to the public. I would like to also note that people can be paid off, people can make statements and then you wave, I don't know, $50,000 in their face and you're like, they might change their minds, say they lied. New York Times graphic photos. Mr. Epstein, a New York money manager, is said to have had teenage girls brought to his home in Florida. Photo by Scott Wiseman for the New York Times. Jeffrey Epstein has pleaded not guilty to soliciting prostitution. This is a 55-page document. The New Mexican, Santa Fe, New Mexico. What is this one about? Headline: Roundhouse Roundup website aims to make political funding more transparent. I'm not going to read this one. Maybe. So far, only one candidate on site's list. If you want to know who is giving how much money to what politicians in New Mexican races during most of the summer and early fall, you're pretty much out of luck. Yeah, that sounds about right. What else do we got? Land Commissioner candidate to return contribution. I'm going to go to the next. DA who went after Limbaugh caught going light on a Democrat. Okay, let's go to the next one. That one was fascinating, though. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to do this. This is the same document. That stuff's kind of public knowledge at this point. He had his first case and all of that. Harvard to keep Epstein gift. Already read this one. 3, so now I'm on 4. Data set 9. Okay, we got a little graph here. Let's try to... And it's not really readable. To a degree. I don't even know what I'm looking at because I can't read that stuff. Placards. Alright. 5. Air conditioning. Did I do this one? Digital flight? Yeah, I did. Okay. Air conditioning again. Financial documents. Electrical power, standby power system, changing electrical power system to provide 60 minutes of standby power for the airplane. Basic, this is for his airplane. I believe this is probably maintenance manual, air conditioning pressurization system. This is probably similar. Yeah, electrical. I believe. Maybe not. Is it a gearbox? Did I just click this one? No. Advanced copy. Control Center Forms. 2019 Federal Bureau of Investigation. On Wednesday, September 25th, 2019, Special Agent received a phone call from Special Investigative Section Lieutenant regarding a letter that was received by the Metropolitan Correctional Center. The letter was a return to sender, and the following was written at the top left corner of the letter. J. Epstein, Manhattan Correctional, New York City, New York, 1007. I'm sorry. 10007 is what I should say. The got something down there too. The letter was postmarked Nova 2013 August 2019 and was addressed to Larry Nasser at 9300 S. Wilmot Road, Tucson, Arizona 85756. This address is that of another Federal Bureau of Prisons facility. The reason for the return to sender was addressee was no longer at this address. On Thursday, September 26, 2019, Special Agent picked up the letter from SIS Lieutenant at MCC. Scans of the envelope and the outside and inside of the letter are digitally attached. Okay. According to the SIS Lieutenant, the stamp and the stationery are not available for purchase at MCC. There were no logs kept regarding incoming and outgoing mail for Jeffrey Epstein at MCC, which, I don't know, that's kind of weird. I don't know what that says. Dear, as you know by now, I have taken the short route home. Good luck. We shared one thing, one love and caring for young ladies, and the hope they'd read their full potential. Our president shares one love, our love, and yours. What does it even say? Girls, when a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab, snatch, whereas we ended up snatching grab in the men's halls. What? Of the system. Life is unfair. Yours, Jeffrey Epstein. That is very strange, to say the least. All post orders. This is just... See, that was fascinating, to say the least. Sorry I am unable to locate information concerning this inmate. I suggest that you contact the national locator at... See, I doubt there's actually any more actual information in this. In the approximate days, Office and Inspector General... Maybe I'm wrong. Look at this entire page, too. Redacted. Well, because of suicide prevention training? Yeah, I guess. Because, damn. Scared the shiza out of me. Okay. This was fascinating, though. Dude, that's one thing. I always forget where the asterisk hotkey is. There. Just want one. What the fuck happened? Maybe I'm not allowed to save this one. Which is ridiculous for one. It's fine. Because I have a solution to this. Write them down. Okay. Feed is routed. I believe this is, no. So I was looking at this one. Cool. Due diligence report. Executive summary 11/30/2009. GS and I was requested by Mary C. Casey to conduct a background investigation. Full research was conducted on Max Foundation in New York only. Media research was conducted on Jelaine Noel Maxwell. Throughout this search, the following records were researched: Company and Corporate Records, RDC, Regulatory Data Corp, MIS, McDonald, Information Services. Okay, I don't give a damn. Jelaine Noel Maxwell, internal database search revealed the following. Reference the accounts titled Forums LLC, 116 East 65th Street LLC, and Air Jelaine Inc. For previous research, the following information was previously reported to Mary Reith on a 03/17/2003. Several newspaper articles detailing the investigation conducted by Britain's Serious Fraud Office against Robert Maxwell, her father. He allegedly used pension funds to service debts, cover operating losses, gamble in the foreign exchange markets, and support the stock of his publicly held companies. The agency is also looking into a complaint from Swiss Bank Corporation, which says it did not receive collateral for a $100 million loan to a small private Maxwell company. Newspaper article dated December 1st, 2000, which stated that Jelaine Maxwell's source of wealth is being classified as something of a mystery. Newspaper article dated August 9th, 1996, detailing the arrest of Jelaine Maxwell on DWI charges. Numerous newspaper articles detailing the criminal fraud charges brought against Kevin and Ian Maxwell, sons of Robert. Newspaper article dated June 23rd, 2005, detailing Robert Maxwell misappropriated funds from the companies under his control. According to the newspaper article, he pledged assets as security for additional loans, but instead of delivering the assets to the lender, he would simply sell the assets for cash. For example, Berlitz Language School was supposedly sold to a Japanese publishing company, but the shares had previously been pledged as security for loans from Swiss Volksbank and Lehman Brothers. Publications revealed records found. On September 2009, Jelaine Maxwell was subpoenaed in a suit against her friend Jeffrey Epstein. Regulatory sanctioned search revealed no additional information found. Search of OFAC did not reveal any matches. It's fascinating. Headline not available. Common good standing status can only be determined by performing a search in the records of both the Department of State, corporation records, and Department tax. Heiress quizzed in sex suits. The New York Post, October 12, 2009, Monday. Ghislaine Maxwell, the British brunette whose father once owned the Daily News, has been slapped with a subpoena in suits brought by 24 underage girls against her old friend billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell, whose press-lord father, Robert Maxwell, died in 1991 after falling into the Atlantic off his yacht. The Lady Ghislaine was served with a subpoena on September 22nd at 6:45 p.m. as she was leaving the Clinton Global Initiatives Conference at the Sheraton Hotel. Florida lawyer Brad Edwards, who represents 3 of the Jane Does who are suing Epstein, told Page 6 that Maxwell would be questioned over her knowledge of how Epstein procured many of the girls. Epstein is accused in the civil complaint of luring underage girls to his mansion in Palm Beach to give him massages, during which he allegedly engaged them in sexual activity and paid them hundreds of dollars. A grand jury indicted Epstein on a charge of felony solicitation of prostitution. Epstein, who pleaded guilty and did 12 months in prison, was deposed last week in the offices of his lawyer, Jack Goldberger. Goldberger wouldn't comment, but a friend of Epstein said these people bringing the complaint are the lowest of the lows in terms of ambulance-chasing lawyers. The trials are scheduled to start in February. Who has been described as Epstein's lesbian sex slave and who visited him behind bars 67 times, has also served with a subpoena. Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, who has a real estate holding company in New York, has already been deposed about a building he owns, 301 East 66th Street. Jeffrey rents several apartments there where he keeps his girls alleged models for the MC2 agency he owns. Edwards said, but Mark acts like he doesn't even know his brother. He was extremely angry and rude and cursed me out. Fascinating. €3 million bet scam at Buckingham Palace. The Times. That's kind of fascinating too. Do I want to read that though? Yeah, sure. Policeman ran €3 million bet scam at Buckingham's Palace. Adam Fresco, Royal Protection Officers accused of being drunk while guarding the Queen, sitting on her throne and trading pornography on duty will not be disciplined. The allegations emerged during the trial of a policeman convicted yesterday of masterminding a €3 million betting scam at Buckingham Palace. Paul Page, 38, from Scotland Yard's SO14 Royal Protection Command told I don't know how to say the dang Brit thing. Southwark is what I'm going to say. Southwark's Crown Court that officers regularly fell asleep at the palace and at St. James Palace. He said they also played poker on duty and smuggled friends into garden parties or let them park in palace grounds while shopping in the West End. Page 38 claimed that some officers routinely slept off hangovers in private palace rooms, handled firearms while drunk, and sold steroids. Douglas Day, QC, prosecuting, dismissed the claims as pie in the sky and nothing more than diversionary tactics designed to cloud Page's blatant dishonesty. Claims about members of the royal family were kept from the jury after the prosecution argued that they were irrelevant, but in a defense statement, Page referred to a series of alleged security breaches at Buckingham Palace. The Duke of York was said to have entertained women there, including Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of the late Robert Maxwell. It was suggested that women were allowed in without going through security procedures and that police had sometimes to drive them home. Prince Andrew Prince Andrew was also accused of ordering his protection officer to stand about 100 yards away while he practices golf swing to collect the balls. The Duke of Edinburgh allegedly told officers not to walk on the gravel path outside his bedroom window in case they woke him up, insisting that they kept to the grass. Page also claimed that the Queen owns a yellow rubber duck that has a tiny gold crown painted on its head. The court heard that he ran a spread of betting syndicate, the Currency Club, at the palace. When the losses mounted to hundreds of thousands of pounds, he tried to recoup money with a bogus property investment scheme promising fantastic returns. At least 20 officers parted with more than 1.3 million euros, and there were 40 other victims, one losing 260,000 euros. Page used the money for gambling, spent 120,000 euros hiring Porsches, Mercedes, and Range Rovers, and funded his wife's shopping sprees. The father of 5 from Grays, Essex, blamed apathy among protection officers on the sense that police were looked down on by the royal household. People would go to sleep on post, officers would turn up drunk. I've turned up with a hangover. Officers in the command are earning 50,000 euros to 60,000 euros per year with overtime for doing very little. He said one colleague imported pornography from the Netherlands and sold it on duty. He claimed everyone knew about it, but no one would say anything. You had officers running poker games for money in downtown. Page was found guilty of fraudulent trading between January 2003 and November 2006, but cleared of witness intimidation, a second count of fraudulent trading, and a charge of threatening to kill a witness was dropped earlier. His wife, Laura, 42, was cleared of money laundering and witness intimidation by order of the judge. Judge Jeffrey Rivlin, QC, told Page that a substantial sentence of imprisonment is inevitable, but then I think you already know that, he said. He said there would be no confiscation hearing because there is no money left. After yesterday's conviction, Scotland Yard said that none of the claims against the other royal protection officers would be officially investigated. Detective Superintendent Tony Evans, the head of specialist investigations within the Directorate of Professional Standards, said investigations within the Directorate, said Page made numerous allegations in his defense statement. It fell to me to make a decision whether they should be investigated. I took the view that they were historic allegations. They were uncorroborated, and they were all made as a result of Paul Page facing serious charges. Therefore, I decided at that time they would not be investigated. So how long have you been a royal protection officer? Page claims, okay. Damn. That's crazy. Select application controls. Review the Federal Bureau of Prisons Entry Database System. I'm not about to go through this whole thing. What I will do, go back here. That's what I was just on. JP Morgan Chase, too. That's his boy. See, I don't get that. Why is that happening? It's not letting me do my shit. What? I'm so confused. That's fine. I do want to see what this kind of, I want to scroll through it. Inmate population monitoring, financial responsibility, state billing. I think this is more for the prison system. Computer matching of transaction dates. Ocean pest envoy. Rodent baiting. Yacht rats. Color quad processor. iBank executive. Total capital raised 100 million. This investment opportunity is being spearheaded by Shlomo Birtovsky, an experienced and accomplished bank executive in Israel. The analysis indicates a significant opportunity to capitalize on built-in market inefficiencies in the Israeli banking sector. Mr. Birtovsky has an impressive track record. He turned a $24 million investment in the bank he ran as a CEO into $110 million. The amount realized by shareholders upon... Okay. Inefficiencies in the Israeli banking system. The Israeli banking system industry is highly centralized with an oligopoly type structure, particularly in the retail banking segment, which cross-subsidizes other sectors. According to BOI, there are no competitive threats in the industry in general, and especially in the retail banking sector. Employee salaries and benefits. 47,000 employees times 81,000 PA. 3.8 bill. HR equals 60% of total costs. Overhead costs, including maintaining 1,286 branches, 2.6 billion. Provision for doubtful accounts, 0.5% on loans totaling 155 billion equals 800 million. Is that right? Am I retarded? Yeah, that's right. 800 million. The lead investor, Shlomo Birtovsky, was Senior Deputy General of Bank Leumi, one of Israel's two largest banks, until December 1990. In January 1991, he was appointed CEO of First International Bank of Israel, Phoebe, which had been acquired by the Safra family in 1986 for $24 million. He served as CEO of Phoebe until 2001 and as its chairman from 2001 until 2003, when the Safra family sold Phoebe and divested itself against Piotrowski's advice. Of all its other holdings in Israel, including Cellcom, Piotrowski's tenure was marked by the following major accomplishments: increased the bank's asset base, market share and profitability, diversified the bank's business, realized a significant profit by building Phoebe to the point where it was sold for a valuation of $200 million. Phoebe's valuation today is $550 billion. Wow. The iBank plan. Overview. The plan requires capital of $100 million in 2008. Piotrowski and his partners assembled an investor group anchored by U.S. billionaire William Morris Davidson, CEO and chairman of Guardian Industries, one of the world's largest manufacturers of architectural and automotive glass. Delays ensued, first because of the financial meltdown that began in September 2008 and subsequently due to the death of Bill Davidson in March 2009, at which point the fundraising effort was aborted. It is now being restarted. Retail banking in Israel is characterized by average profitability due to its high level of inefficiency and significantly lower risks. Piotrowski aims to replicate the success of ING Direct by offering full range of products and transparent retail banking products at very low cost, savings, deposits, loans, consumer credit, car loans, credit cards, payment accounts, and investment products, as well as marketing of mortgages underwritten by other banks and financial institutions. iBank will target customers who are already internet users. Israelis are already heavy internet users with a broadband penetration rate of over 75%, second in the world, and have medium to high socioeconomic status in terms of salaries, financial assets. It will aim to reach a critical level of awareness and size within a short period of time and will offer far lower fees and transaction costs, at least 50% discounts, quick, easy, and simple account opening processes, easy access, 24/7 call center, internet, video conferencing, mobile handset, ATM services, Details. Initial expenses and capital adequacy. 15 to 20 million will be allocated to set up phase 12 to 18 months and will be written off rather than capitalized. On that amount, 9.3 million will be invested in IT. Software development, software products, hardware, other legal costs, other and unexpected total investment. Dude. Investor mix requirements and holding restrictions. Net interest income. That's wild. Capital adequacy analysis. What is that, 5 million? Almost 6 million? Risk assets ratio, including secondary capital. I don't exactly know what all that means, but it's interesting to say the least. With the temperature control, although still electric. Air conditioning, flight safety. There's a lot of stuff on this airplane. Dude is fascinated with airplanes, I guess. Well, if you have an airplane, you better be fascinated about it. You know, it's a huge investment. To enact control over 1998. Improve self-control, the benefits of a regular program of academic study. Basic and applied social psychology. Recent models suggest a lack of self-regulatory resources as one reason why self-regulation might fail. Academic stress and self-control failure. This is just a study. I don't really want to go through it either. Just read the implications, maybe. The results suggest that when life events impose extra demands on self-regulatory resources, such as during final examinations, self-regulation may begin to fail in other spheres. Dieting, where control has normally been successful. Stress management strategies, however, should benefit people to the extent that by coping with life pressures effectively, people may store their regulatory strength for actions of self-change that truly demand the effort. Even better news is that people may do more than just manage stress. Our results show that individuals who studied regulatory and systematically enjoyed an increased resistance to debilitating effects of the examination period reported no increase in stress. Stress prevention may work even better than stress management. The regular practice of self-control needed to prevent stress has the added benefit of improving self-regulatory stamina. In fact, the strength model posits that individuals should improve in self-control ability even after failing a self-regulatory task because the exertion of self-control is more important than the outcome. Therefore, setting oneself small but frequent challenges for self-improvement may be useful for building up a good capacity for self-discipline. Our findings are both theoretically and practically important. Theoretically, we demonstrated in the study that the resource of self-control is not fixed and may be augmented by suitable behaviors. Although the range of routes to improvement remains unclear, the data we report clearly demonstrate one route that has wide-ranging consequences. Our study on the effects of regular physical exercise demonstrated another route with broad benefits for self-control. Therefore, practicing self-regulation in any domain may have beneficial long-term consequences. The practical importance of building self-control strength can be more fully appreciated when considering that many societal problems involve breakdowns in self-regulation. For example, addiction is marked by the inability to control cravings for alcohol or drugs. Additionally, many people may incur financial debt as a result of the inability to limit consumer spending. By improving regulatory strength, people may in turn diminish their vulnerability to such breakdowns and live longer and healthier lives. Fascinating, nonetheless. Did I already do this one? Yeah, it's the same one. So I'm on this one now. Another study. Empire Valuation Consultants. Now this is finances, I believe. October 12th, 2015. Alan Halperin. Paul Wise. Dear Mr. Halperin, you have requested Empire Valuation Consultants LLC to estimate the fair market value of a 1% limited partnership interest in Black Family Partners LP. BFP or the partnership as of June 3rd, 2015, the valuation date on behalf of your client, Mr. Leon Black. The client, it is our understanding that this summary letter will be used by you and the client for estate planning purposes related to GRAT annuity payments. Valuation summary. Recently stated as $19.7 million. Damn. 108 pages. Polo Operating Group was formed as a Delaware limited liability company on July 3rd, 2007 and completed a reorganization of its predecessor businesses on July 2007. The reorganization, Apollo, is managed and operated by its manager, AGM Management. Okay. I don't really know what I'm looking at. Apollo Private Equity Co-Invest Entities, ACIV, 38,000, 389,000. Underlying fund was indefinite extension. There was no indication where the remaining portfolio companies would be sold. ACVI. Fund's term expires January 12, 2016. However, the fund could be extended for 2 additional years. As of the valuation date, it is expected that the fund would extend. Okay, this is kind of fascinating, but discount for a lack of control and marketability. Empire Consultants. Is this the same thing? I believe so. No, it's not. This is a different one. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. 3. Well, this is